joining us on Sky News this afternoon. Kofi Annan saying both sides need to lay down their arms. That doesn't seem to be happening at the moment, does it?
Well, yes, definitely. We have to acknowledge that Russia holds the card in Syria. Russia so far has blocked any Security Council resolution, which in this case requires an international criminal court, the ICC referral, and Russia has blocked that. We have to remember that the Syrian people are being killed by Russian weapons. We have to keep in mind that the Syrian Foreign Minister Walid al-Muallim, as we speak, is in Russia. Therefore, we have seen the regime using the same tactics as usual, mobilizing troops. Crackdown continues. The number of people killed since this initiative starts exceeds 800. There is no indication whatsoever from the regime side that they are going to accept the ceasefire, while on the other side, from the opposition, they have openly acknowledged and accepted a ceasefire after the regime pulls its forces, exactly as an Annan initiative required by the consequence. He first asked al-Assad to pull the troops out of residential areas, then for the opposition to respect the ceasefire, and so far the regime did not commit to that.
Challenging though, isn't it, when the opposition, as far as the Syrian army is concerned, the Syrian government is concerned, the opposition is holding on to its weapons. They say they've not been asked to hand over their weapons at this stage. When we've seen ceasefires in the past, the opposition has moved into areas where the Syrian army has moved back from, and once again it becomes a stalemate.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with this assessment. In reality, we have to acknowledge here the weight of each side. The Syrian regime has an army, has the aircrafts, has the tanks, has the heavy weapons, while the Syrian opposition and the FSA hold some Kalashnikovs, and in most occasions and parts of Syria they lacked of bullets. In essence, this is an uprising that started in Dara with 10 kids drawing graffiti on walls asking for freedom. This is an uprising against a dictatorship. This is not a civil war. The one who has been killing his people here is al-Assad and his troops. They went peaceful for 7 months. They faced tanks with their chests. They were chanting peaceful, peaceful for 7 months while he was shooting them. The international community failed them. There was no military intervention on a humanitarian basis. We haven't seen serious talks about buffer zone. What do we expect? Of course, people started to pick up weapons. The interesting question is, who are they? Who are these armed groups? Who is the Free Syrian Army? And in essence, it's the kids of the neighborhoods defending their families and their properties, supported by a few defected soldiers. So this is the real volume of the fighters from the opposition side.
Yeah.
Here, the army is owned and is operated by al-Assad.
So it's a David and Goliath fight is what you're saying. We've heard from Kofi Annan. He says that negotiation is imperative. Do you think we are any closer to that?
I think Annan and the international community, especially the friends of Syria, for them this is a process, and they want to see that this process leads in changing of Russia's position. Russia should stop sending weapons to al-Assad. Russia should ask al-Assad to step down, as the US, the UK, and other countries have asked him to do. Any dialogue with the opposition while al-Assad is in power is not realistic. We're talking about a man who has committed crimes against humanity. We're talking about a man who should be sitting in The Hague now, prosecuted for these crimes. His place is in jail. His place not to be on a table negotiating for future Syria. Any future Syria should not have al-Assad or any of his components negotiating with the opposition. So this is a process. This process should lead to changing Russia's position, nothing more.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Thank you. The neighbourhood watchman who